Was he a good man? And there, I see that. Don't put another chip till I look at my hand. A good man, says you? Pard, ain't no name for it. He was the best man that ever... Pard, you would have doted on that man. He could lamb any galoot in his inches in America. It was him that put down the riot last election before it got start. And everybody said he was the only man that could have done it. He waltzed in with a spanner in one hand and a trumpet in the other and sent 14 men home on a shutter in less than 3 minutes. He had that riot broke up and prevented nice before anybody else got a chance to strike a blow. And he was always for peace. He would have peace. He could not stand disturbances. Pard, he was a great loss to this town. It would please the boys if you could chip in something like that and do him justice. Here once, when the Micks got to throwing stones through the Methodist Church Sunday school windows, Buck Fanshaw, in all of his own notion, shut up the saloon, took a couple of 6-shooters and mounted guard over the Sunday school. Says he, no Irish need apply, and they didn't. He was the bulliest man in the mountains, Pard. He could run faster, jump higher, hit harder, and hold more Tanglefoot whiskey without spilling it than any man in 17 counties. Put that in, Pard. It'll please the boys more than anything you could say. And you can say, Pard, that he never shook his mother. Never shook his mother? That's it. Any of the boys will tell you so. Well, but why should he shake her? That's what I say, but some people does. Not people of any repute. Well, some that averages pretty so-so. In my opinion, that man would offer personal violence to his mother ought to. Cheese it, Pard, you banked your ball clean outside the string. What I was driving at was that he never throwed off on his mother, don't you see? No, indeedy. He gave her a house to live in and town lots and plenty of money, and he looked after her and took care of her all the time. And when she was down with the smallpox, I'm damned if he didn't set up nights and nurse himself. Beg your pardon saying it, but he hopped out too quickly for yours truly. You've treated me like a gentleman, Pard, and I ain't man to hurt your feelings intentional. I think you're white. I think you're a square man, Pard. I like you, and I'll lick any man that don't. I'll lick him till he can't tell himself from last year's corpse. Put it there. Another fraternal handshake and exit. The obsequies were all that the boys could desire. Such a marvel of funeral pomp had never been seen in Virginia. The plumed hearse, the dirge-breathing brass bands, the closed marts of business, the flags drooping at half-mast, the long, plodding procession of uniformed secret societies, military battalions and fire companies, draped engines, carriages of officials and citizens in vehicles and on foot, attracted multitudes of spectators to the sidewalks, roofs, and windows. And for years afterward, the degree of grandeur attained by any civic display in Virginia was determined by comparison with the Buck Fanshaw funeral. Scotty Briggs, as a pallbearer and a mourner, occupied a prominent place at the funeral, and when the sermon was finished and the last sentence of the prayer for the dead man's soul ascended, he responded in a low voice but with feelings, "Amen, no Irish need apply." As the bulk of the response was without apparent relevancy, it was probably nothing more than a humble tribute to the memory of the friend that was gone. For as Scotty had once said, it was his word. Scotty Briggs in after days achieved the distinction of becoming the only convert to religion that was ever gathered from the Virginia roughs. It transpired that the man who had it in him to espouse the quarrel of the weak out of inborn nobility of spirit was no mean timber whereof to construct a Christian. The making him one did not warp his generosity or diminish his courage. On the contrary, it gave intelligent direction to the one and a broader field to the other. If his Sunday school class progressed faster than the other classes, was it matter for wonder? I think not. He talked to his pioneer small fry in a language they understood. It was my large privilege to hear tell the beautiful story of Joseph and his brethren to his class without looking at the book. I leave it to the reader to fancy what it was like as it fell riddled with slang from the lips of that grave, earnest teacher, and was listened to by his little learners with a consuming interest that showed that they were as unconscious as he was that any violence was being done to the sacred proprieties.